Hadron aloch. That's what one says when they finish a Masechta. A person learns, he works hard. We finished the Masechta, and now it's time to make a siyum. And we say the words Hadron aloch. We will return to you. We're going to come back, go back to the Masechta. We have to understand, is that what we want to be saying at this time? I just finished the Masechta. I feel accomplished. Do I want to say now I'm going to come back to it? Imagine you just finished 8+ years in Yeshivas Koichav Yitzchak. We say to you, Mazel Tov, you finished. Now let's start over again. How would you feel about that? Why do we end off and by Yesiyim say Hadron aloch? We're going to return to you, go back to the Masechta. To understand this, let us look at the Makar for a Siyum. The Medrash in Shir HaShirim says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to Shlomo HaMelech and asked him what he wants. Shlomo HaMelech said Chachma. Hashem granted his wish, and he woke up in the morning and he had Chachma. He knew everything. He knew Gans Torah. He knew everything. And he gathered his avodim together and he made a Seudah. Rebbe Elazar says Mikan. From here we learn that when somebody finishes a Torah, when somebody finishes something, they make a siyum. We have to understand, why did Shlomo HaMelech make a Seudah? He didn't work for it. It was given to him as a matana from Hashem. Hashem asked him what he wants. He asked for Chachma and he got it. Why is he making a whole Seudah for that? Reb Shimon Schwab explains that the reason why Shlomo HaMelech was making a Seudah, because now he had the tools to be able to learn even better and understand even better. When somebody finishes a Masechta, now, if they started over, they could learn the Masechta so much better. They could go much more be'in into it. They could have a much more understanding in the depths of the learning, because they have the tools that they need in order to really, really learn the Masechta better. And each time somebody finishes, they have more tools and they could do it better and better. And that's what Reb Shimon Schwab says is the reason why we make a siyum. Dear Talmidim, you're sitting here at this beautiful Mesibas Preda. We made a chashuv affair. People put a lot of hard work into it. Why are we doing this? Is this because we're happy to see you off? Baruch Shabbat, Baruch Hashem, you're going? No. It's because you went through preschool, learning how to read, getting your siddur, getting your chumash, onto Torah Shabbal Peh. And not only the material that you learned, you also learned how to navigate life. You also learned some general studies. You acquired knowledge. You acquired midas. You acquired how to live life. Now you have the tools that you need to go on to Mesifta, to go on to Beis Medrash. You acquired your tools. You have the tools you need to continue steiging, to be a mensch. And that is why we're so excited. And that's why we make a beautiful Mesibas Preda, because we know that you have the tools to go on in life. And in Mitzvah Hashem, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help, you should take these tools and you should use them, and you should be a nachas to your parents, to the Cheder, and to Gans Klal Yisrael.
Torah Talmidim. The Gemara tells us in Brachos, Ki have a miftiri rabbana mibei Rav Ami v'omri lo mibei Rabbi Chanina, that when the Talmidim were leaving yeshiva, they were leaving the Beis Medrash of Rav Ami or the Beis Medrash of Rav Chanina, they would give them a special bracha. It was a lengthy bracha. The bracha began, Olamcha sireh b'chayacha. Your world, Olamcha, your world, sireh b'chayacha, you should see within your lifetime. And Rashi explains, Olamcha refers to your tzrachim, your needs, your necessities. But I was bothered by the expression of Olamcha. Why doesn't the Gemara just say, your needs should be taken care of? All of your tzrachim should be taken care of. And perhaps there's a message here that the Gemara is trying to teach us, which was part of the bracha that they were giving to these Talmidim as they left yeshiva to go on to the next stage of life. Perhaps they're going to another yeshiva. We know that the Mishnah in Sanhedrin tells us that lefikach nivra ha'adam yechidi, the reason why a person was created individually, because each person has to say, b'shvili nivra ha'olam, that the world, it was kedai to create the entire world b'shvili, even just for me. What does that mean? That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created every single individual with unique koiches, with unique talents, with unique abilities, with a unique set of midos, with his strengths, with his weaknesses, with his koiches hanefesh. And each and every person is a one-time event. B'shvili nivra ha'olam. It's important for each and every one of us, you, to remember that we are all, you are all, each and every one of you is a one-time event that has never been from Sheshes Yemei Bereishis and will never again be Ad Sof Kol HaDoros. And you are the only one who can fulfill that olam, that bishvili nivra ha'olam. And perhaps that is part of the bracha that they were giving to these Talmidim who were leaving the Beis Medrash. Olam chasir b'chayacha. You should have the zechus to take what you've learned from the yeshiva, to take what you've learned from the Beis Medrash, and olamcha have the zechus to fulfill in its entirety your bishvili nivra ha'olam, olamcha sireh b'chayacha. Torah Talmidim. It has been a zechus, an immeasurable zechus, to have watched you grow, having come into the cheder, not knowing an ois aleph, maybe knowing an ois aleph, but certainly not knowing how to read, and watching how you learned the letters and the nekudos and the ability to put the letters and nekudos together, and then to taicha pasuk chumash, and then to go to Mishnayos and to Gemara and Kenai Nahara, to watch how each and every one of you, in your own way, has steigt. It is a tremendous, tremendous chus that we do not take for granted. You've grown here. We have nachas, real nachas, from each and every one of you, having watched you develop your own unique, individual koiches. And this, Rabbi Isai, this is the bracha that we leave you, each and every one of you, with. Olam cha sireh b'chayacha. That each and every one of you should have the ability and the siyata d'shmaya to discover himself, to understand himself, to recognize your koiches, recognize your abilities, and utilize them, and fulfill them, and recognize that you are a one-time event. Olam chasir b'chayacha. We look forward to watching great, great things from each and every one of you. We will miss you, and please keep in touch with us. Hatzlacha.
Mazel Tov Talmidim. You've spent many days, weeks, months, and years in our cheder. You've spent so much time learning Psukim, Rashi, Mishnayos, Prakim, Mesachtes, Amudim, Dafim, Mesachtes. As you move on, as you go on to your next stage, we're going to high school, let's chazer over some basic, important yesodis that you've learned the last number of years. To make it a bit easier, I will say it with an acronym, Aleph, Beis, Gimel. If you remember these three yesodis, Aleph, Beis, and Gimel, I think as you move on, this will help as a Yid be able to continue with the yesodis, with the building blocks that you've learned being in our cheder. Aleph, Ata v'chartanu. Realize how precious each and every single one of you are. We are part of the Am HaNivchar. Ata v'chartanu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us as His nation. Realize that. Live with that recognition. That's first. Aleph, Ata v'chartanu. Beis, bitachon. Live the way Yidden live, with bitachon, realizing that everything in our lives is orchestrated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we have Aleph, Ata v'chartanu. Beis, live like a Yid with bitachon, recognizing that everything that happens is orchestrated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And finally, Gimel, Gam Zulataiva. Realize, recognize that everything that happens to us is perfectly designed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu for us, and it is for our benefit. Aleph, Beis, and Gimel. I think if you continue on with these yesodis, you will continue to make us proud, living your lives with the recognition of Ata v'chartanu, living with bitachon, Gam Zulataiva, of course, with the yesodis that you've gained so much from our cheder with Talmud Torah and Agud Kulam, but these yesodis will help you, and Be'ez Hashem, you continue to live a life of being an Eved Hashem. Mazel Tov.
house in Torah.